What's up? It's Jobringus, your favorite inefficient reg. Today's the afternoon of June 19th. Was hoping to make this video probably about 2.5 weeks ago, around the turn of the month, but here we are. Scatter burying vile ashes and big bones. It's more boring than I hoped. I hoped it would be a little more fun than this. Actually, normally I do it on mobile. It's pretty rare that I do this method on desktop. Mining I also prefer on mobile. I think tap to drop is just easier that way for me personally. But kind of prefer to film on desktop so I can have the comparison of the new stats and old stats and stuff like that. If I need to edit the video, it makes it easier. Not that I ever do. I'm inefficient in... Maybe I'm efficient in video making. Who's to say? Anyways, when I do this, it works out to something about 100k XP an hour. I miss a lot of clicks, but that's fine by me. You can do them both at the same tick like I just did there, but usually I try and alternate it. I find the rhythm to be a little easier to hit that way. And I'm probably going to be doing this until 90 prayer. Maybe I'll take some breaks. I'm in Falador right now if I feel like taking a break for mining, but probably I'm going to try and go to 90 prayer and then another rune crafting grind, and then probably to mining. But if I find myself running out of time where I can do these really click-intensive, focus-intensive methods, I might do the rest of attack at flesh crawlers, because that's just so AFK. I've got, of course, 10 full levels to go there, so that'll take a little while. It works out to almost 100 hours, I think, but the hours pass by fast in a sense because it requires pretty low maintenance, and that's nice. So the only stat upgrades since last time, plus 3 rune crafting levels, plus 1 prayer level. As I said, I had hoped that I would have gotten this update out earlier, but then I ran over schedule on getting the rune crafting ding to 87, which is just shy of 4 million XP. And then the past 2 weekends I've been really busy, and I've actually been feeling a little under the weather. I don't know if you can tell from my voice, but not feeling the best right now. So, but I thought, you know what, I've got enough strength to film a video, so we'll do it. I'm actually probably gonna lie in bed later and keep scatterburying, and that's gonna be my life. I'm in Falador for partly the mining, but also I just kind of like to mix up the scenery. There's a couple banks I've never done bank standing at. I don't think I've done anything at Lumbridge. I don't know if I've really done anything at Camdazal, at least not in a long time. And I've got basically 2 bank standing skills left. Fire making's kind of bank standing, but if I'm making lines of fires, then there's only a few viable candidates. If I do bonfires, I guess I can do wherever I want. We'll see. I did have the thought of maybe I would try combining wood cutting with fire making, and just instead of dropping or banking logs, just use them on a bonfire. Obviously, that's slow fire making XP, but it does make the overall experience very AFK. And that could be potentially tempting. Right now in my life, things are a little busier than I hoped, so I have less time to focus and play. I could still find time to AFK and play, but that's really just means like I'm playing on my phone and just looking at it every 3 minutes while my phone sits on my desk or something like that. So it's a consideration, even though I had originally said, I don't know, probably at numerous points in time in the past, that I didn't really think I was going to do bonfires or campfires, whatever they're called. I might change my mind on that, only because it's like maybe the most AFK method possible of training. Like, it's up there basically with flesh crawlers. Probably, honestly, flesh crawlers I might have to click the ground more, because it is absolutely worth me looting all the bone scepter pieces. It's maybe half the point. Other places I could AFK if I didn't care about the drops, but like spiders, I suppose. I think I'm probably about halfway to magic level, so that's going to get there incidentally with more rune crafting. Still inching, really inching towards those base 90s. But again, if I can find a few good sessions of prayer, I mean, 100K an hour does go pretty fast, and I'm trying to get in the habit of when I have 5 minutes where I'm idling and not doing anything, just log on and do a little bit of prayer, because those 5 minutes, that works out to maybe 8K an hour, or not 8K an hour, but like an 8K for that little segment. So not bad, you know. You do that a couple times throughout the day, and you really make some progress. I think it would be really nice if I could manage to get about 200K XP a day. I've been on this prayer grind for like 5 days now, so I'll let you judge how well that's going. I'll give you a hint. 267,000 divided by 5 is not 200,000. And I'll give you another hint. I'm not going to get 700,000 XP by the end of the day. But that's fine. I don't remember. I always lose track if I have enough big bones banked for 99. I think I don't, but I have a lot of vile ashes banked. So if I do end up doing regular fire lighting for fire making, it is 0 time to throw in the scattering with that. I found that to be a relatively satisfying method, so I will probably keep doing that in the future. We'll see. It is part of the satisfaction is that at the low prayer levels, you know, you get that ding kind of often. The amount of actual prayer XP you add per hour is not that high, but it's not nothing. So we keep it up. We keep it up. An idea I had, I've been sort of, again, I think I said this in my last update, but right now I'm sort of eating my vegetables with a few skills that I need to really like focus on and grind up to 90. But I do think a lot about wood cutting and fire making, especially wood cutting. That's just such like a chill skill, and a lot of the places to train it I think are kind of visually pleasant. One thing I was wondering about, I wonder if I would have any fun going to whatever the island is called where all the ogresses are at, and going to the skilling grove and chopping maple logs there, and just, again, either dropping them or lighting bonfires. If the like overall woodcutting XP from that is any good at all, I don't know how that compares to yews or willows for that matter. I think that like if you're looking at kind of AFK methods, I think that yews has started to converge somewhat towards willows because of the, I think the woodcutting like shared skill boost does make, you know, quite a bit of a difference, and but also just the events carry you a lot. Like if you participate in, I don't know, 3 events, 4 events in an hour, that's kind of a lot of XP that's coming just from the event, so it brings those rates closer. And yews are obviously the more AFK choice. Willows have something like a 45-second timer. Maybe it's a full minute. I don't think it's even a full minute. And because of the nature, like if I were just going to drop the logs, then I would just probably go to Port Sarum and just chop in solitude. If I were to try and be lazier, then it's less clicking for me to bank the logs at Draenor, which I kind of like. But there's so many people always chopping at Draenor that it's like your trees are just always down at like uneven intervals and everything like that. Of course, the good thing is that forestry events there are kind of common. There's hopefully enough people doing them at Draenor. I don't know, it's been a little while. At yews, it would be really hit or miss. There would be days where there's enough people doing them, and there's days where people are just AFK chopping them, and stuff like sapling fails. And that's pretty miserable, because of course, the XP drop from sapling makes such a big difference. If you get a lucky rotation, then it's a solid event, even without that, but, you know, getting that little bomb of XP at the end is really, really nice. So anyway, I have no idea with forestry what the rates look like for maples at all, but I have a feeling it's probably pretty solitary out there. I can't imagine other people are really grinding maple trees. I might do it for a change of scenery. Who knows? At some point in time, I was chopping yews in basically the Remington area where there's like 3 yew trees and no one ever goes there. But I think this was pre-forestry. So now that we're post-forestry, it does kind of make sense to do it in maybe Varrock Castle, but mostly in Edgeville. There's always people in Edgeville. Again, ideally you want an active crowd. So ironically, the forestry world tends to not be that good because you get people just AFKing there and wasting them. Maybe they're bots, I don't know. But it's certainly like a waste of time, I'll tell you that much. The soft rhythm of clicking vile ashes and big bones. This is still more pleasant on keyboard than I think mining is. I find mining to be quite unpleasant on keyboard. Usually, when I'm doing that, I'll actually use mouse keys, and I'll just do like, I'll have shift held down with my pinky finger, and then I'll have my index finger on the 5 key for dropping. I think that's maybe like a little more comfortable. I think that I don't remember if there's a one-click tap to drop on desktop nowadays. There probably is. It's been a little while since I mined on desktop, but there certainly is on mobile, and that's a little bit more comfortable. Originally, when I had broken up rune crafting, I had thought I was going to do something like 1 million XP to get to 4 mil, 1 million XP to get to 5 mil, and then the rest, or maybe even just take the rest from 3 to 4, and then 4 to like 5.3 for the level 90 ding. And I'm realizing I think it's going to be a little more manageable for me if I, in this next goal, go for probably 89 rune crafting, which is going to be somewhere in the ballpark of 900k XP, I think. 850k maybe. Probably 850. And then the next level, the next rune crafting grind, I just do a single level grind for level 90. And then basically, if I just do 1 level grinds from there on out, I shouldn't be stuck with like a huge long rune crafting grind at the end. I mean, if I do 98 to 99 as one grind, sure I will, but I think it's going to be a little easier to psychologically manage when it's like literally the last level. So I certainly can do enough 1 level grinds in between the remaining grinds I have to get it there. If I have to do, a little extra, maybe at some point, again, we can muster the strength. It is fun rune crafting. You start to see the same regulars. They start to see you. Saw some reg who F2P Daff. I don't know if he's in the clan or not. Actually, I don't think he was. I don't think he was an orange dot for me. But that guy's apparently almost maxed. It was like rune crafting and combats, and that was it. That's pretty impressive. And then I saw a couple people using various like suicide alt methods, and they recognized me. They would say, "Oh, Jobringus has logged on. Would you look at that?" So it is a little fun. I don't think a single person bothered me in this past grind. Maybe one time, but that was pretty pleasant. I am right now at a combat level. I don't think Trading Prayer has advanced my combat yet. So right now, level 125s can attack me, but 126s can't. That said, I think I don't even know if I saw a single 126 that wasn't also just grinding rune crafting. I think that most of the people I would see would be ballpark level 70 to 90. So I think the 90s can attack me, but they wouldn't really bother. Or sometimes they were much lower, like 50. Just totally out of range. And besides, if someone does attack me, I could just go back to doing this. I guess I could have kept doing this like in the PvP world if I really felt like it. Maybe it's some consideration to alternate this with rune crafting, but I don't like, for reasons that don't really make any sense. I don't like changing my inventory after rune crafting, or like in the middle of rune crafting. I don't like putting my runes away and my staff away. I sort of like to keep them until I'm done. Little ultimate Iron Man-esque of me, even though I'm just not subject to that constraint for anything other than personal desire reasons. I do, for reasons that I find kind of useful, I do like to at least do my trips in multiples of 10 so that I know every time I'm on one law rune, like a multiple, how do you say it? Reminder 1 modulo 10 law runes in my inventory. I know that it's time to bring bone fragments for the next trip so I can refill my staff. I mean, I could set it to a different number, but that's just the one I'm used to remembering now. So kind of like it that way. It is nice to be consistent in that way. So then, like, instead of having to check how many charges your staff has, you just know by looking at your runes. And then it's better if over the course of a grind you don't mix yourself up, from my personal experience. Is there some plugin that probably could show me my charges? Sure, but I don't really play with any plugins, so here we are. Trying to think if there's anything else worth rambling about. I feel like there was one thing and I've forgotten what it is now. I don't know. When's the next free-to-play content we get, huh? Our annual update? I like when we get an annual update. Sometimes it changes things, sometimes it doesn't. But you know that, for the most part, the good old game mode's going to stay the same. And that's something I do like quite a bit. And I also, one of the things I never liked about pay-to-play, which I had a pay-to-play main at some point in time, is just that a lot of methods are locked behind quests. I really just prefer skilling to questing, even though I think that, like, in general, the quests in RuneScape are pretty cool and fun. The fact that they're virtually all their own little storyline, unlike something like well, really most other MMOs, but like a World of Warcraft, I'll throw it on their bus, where there's a lot of quests, especially on there's a lot of quests that are just like, bring me 10 of this item. Maybe that's more an early game quest thing, and I suppose that's not horribly different from Sheepshearer, for example. But most quests, I think, are a little more interesting than that. But even so, it's like, I just kind of wanted a skill. It's like if I had an hour to play old school RuneScape, I usually wasn't really in the mood for doing a quest. And that just meant that I would put off quests all the time, which also meant that certain methods, it's like certain skills I could just never train optimally. So either I would put them off entirely or just like not train them. Farming is an annoying one because a lot of those teleport scenarios are quest locked, and I don't remember how many quests I ended up doing. I think for a while I motivated myself to do one quest a day, but there are a lot of quests. And I like that in free-to-play, there's not that much stuff locked behind quests. It's like, you've got... For Iron Men, you've got Rune Essence mining, locked behind Rune Mysteries. And then you've got, like, Camdazol. I think that there's that one resource area, so maybe the better part of the Ogress area is locked behind Dragon Slayer, I think. You need Dragon Slayer for a rune plate body. It's kind of important. Not that much other stuff locked behind quests, really, that I could think of. And that's pretty neat. It just kind of means you can just do the methods you want. I wonder if I've completed every free-to-play quest. There's a chance there's one like I never got to. Ides of Milk. Oh yeah, the new one. That's right. I still haven't done that. I guess I never did Shield of Araf, huh? I should do Ides of Milk. If I ever train combats in even a remotely efficient way, I should do Ides of Milk. Also, I still have no idea if I should be using Muleta for anything I use it for. I think I'm still pretty convinced that for fleshies, I should just not bring Muleta. I think it like won't matter. But if I battle something like Well, if I'm grinding at Brutus, then I probably should bring the Muleta. Certainly if I'm ever like prayer flicking protection, then it's optimal, because then who cares about my defense bonus? Maybe something like Hill Giants. I don't really foresee myself ever grinding keys again, but if I did, then maybe the Muleta would be better than the Kite Shield. They have like, I think they have more health than Flesh. Yeah, I think they have 35 health. Their attack's not crazy, so I don't know. I'm not that worried about the defense there. Flesh Crawlers are probably more accurate than Hill Giants. Hill Giants can hit harder, but Flesh Crawlers are probably more accurate. Been a long time since I was at Hill Giants. I don't remember what level I was getting when I was grinding those keys, but maybe when I was on the way to base 80, but it could have even been like base 70. I don't know. Anyways, I'm running out of things to say, and I'm getting like a smidge fatigued, so I'm going to call it here. Hope you guys enjoy the short ramble. Hopefully I'll have something more interesting to say next time. But with that, happy grinding. See you guys.